Welcome back to Paper Highlighter. Today, we're diving into a dramatic twist in the world of reality TV with the latest developments surrounding 90 Day Fiancé happily ever after star Sophie Sierra and her mom, Claire Cheshire. After Claire's recent arrest, many are wondering about the state of their relationship. So, what exactly happened, and how has it impacted Sophie? Let's break it down. Claire raised Sophie as a single mom. In her debut episode of 90 Day Fiancé, Sophie shared her compelling backstory. Of mixed race, she has a British mother and a Jamaican father. Growing up in Spain, Sophie faced challenges fitting in. She mentioned having a wealthy grandfather. Although she was never sure of the source of his riches, this background allowed her to attend a private school and enjoy luxurious vacations. As an only child, Sophie developed a close bond with her mother, describing their relationship as more akin to that of sisters than a traditional mother-daughter dynamic. Sophie and mom Claire were close on season 10. Sophie made a bold move to England on her own when she was just 16. Despite her dislike for the country, Sophie's mom eventually followed her there. When Sophie later relocated to Mexico, her mom Claire stayed with her the entire time. Now, as Sophie heads to the U.S. on a K-1 visa to marry Rob, she wonders if her mom will once again follow her across borders and move to America. Probably move down the road, Sophie joked. However, Sophie knew that Rob didn't like that. They weren't the biggest fans of each other, but Sophie wished for them to get along since they were going to be family at the end of the day. Claire didn't approve of Rob. Claire was the one who came up with the nickname Rob the Knob for Rob on 90 Day Fiancé season 10. She found Rob to be grumpy, foolish, and a perfect example of what she called a knob. Although Claire knew Sophie was heading into a less-than-ideal situation, Sophie was simply excited to reunite with Rob. She planned to deal with any bad stuff after arriving in the U.S., often saying, "Talk is cheap. Money buys houses," in reference to Rob. Sophie asked Claire to hold off on scaring Rob away until after they were married, not wanting anything to jeopardize her relationship. Things took a turn when Claire moved to the U.S., surprising Sophie. Rob and Claire clashed from the start. During their first meeting, Claire joked about knocking Rob's mom to the ground, which Rob found overly aggressive. Claire was unimpressed by Rob's man cave, leading to an argument between Rob, Sophie, and Claire. Rob accused them of not understanding his struggles, claiming they'd never experienced being at the bottom like he had. After Sophie and Rob eventually separated upon moving to Austin, Claire remained in the U.S., having found a boyfriend in Texas. In 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After Season 8, Claire's disdain for Rob was more evident than ever. During a sit-down with Rob, Claire couldn't even maintain a civil conversation. She repeatedly chastised him, hardly letting him speak. And when he did, she dismissed his responses entirely. Claire had already made up her mind about Rob, and there seemed to be no changing it. Later, when Claire and Sophie visited Rob and Sophie's apartment to inform him that Sophie was moving out again, Claire attempted to be fake nice. They had an awkward living room discussion while Sophie packed her things. Rob appeared visibly depressed about the situation, but Claire, though she held back from digging into him, was clearly pleased that Sophie was leaving. Sophie came clean about Claire's drug past. Claire was still living in Mexico but frequently traveled to Texas to visit her boyfriend John, and of course Sophie. When Sophie left Rob's apartment less than a year into their marriage, Claire had her "I told you so" moment, while Sophie was glad her mom had finally found a good boyfriend after a string of bad relationships. She was upset about the mess her own marriage had become. During this time, Sophie opened up about the deeper reasons she found it so hard to let go of Rob. Growing up, Sophie didn't have a stable childhood. Her mom, Claire, struggled with substance abuse and wasn't able to raise her properly. As a result, Sophie had to take care of her mom and essentially raised herself. This made Sophie a prime example of parentification. She had to step into a parental role while Claire battled addiction. Sophie revealed that this experience fueled her desire to make her relationship with Rob work, despite his infidelity, as she longed for the stable family life she never had. Sophie accused Claire of harming her. Without naming her mom directly, Sophie addressed the videos in question, clarifying to fans that it wasn't Rob who was trying to harm her, it was her mom. Sophie accused Claire of releasing the videos not to protect her, but to blackmail her. She explained that the videos were private and never intended for public viewing. The person posting has serious mental issues. Sophie admitted she was disgusted by Claire's actions. She said Claire was not going to stop until she'd ruined her life, and that it was insane because Claire was a family member. Claire got arrested in May 2024. According to Starcasm, Claire was arrested on May 10, 2024 in Williamson County, Texas, following an incident the day before. She was held on a $5,000 bond and charged with terroristic threat of a family household member. The arrest followed weeks of escalating tension between Claire, Sophie, and Sophie's friend Kellen, known as Kay on the show, who had been living together for 3 months. Claire had been kicked out of the apartment on April 22, 2024, but the issues continued, partly due to Claire's financial struggles. Claire allegedly kept asking Sophie for money and reportedly threatened to harm herself if Sophie didn't send more. Sophie had already given Claire $3,000 since she moved out. Sophie also claimed Claire sent her death threats, which was confirmed by Rob's friend Tora, who shared screenshots of their text exchanges. Claire was staying in a hotel just 4 minutes from Sophie, but after failing to communicate with her daughter, the police tracked Claire down and served the warrant. Claire had reportedly attempted self-harm in the past, and Sophie had been unable to contact her prior to the arrest. Claire is out of jail. Here's what she's saying about Sophie. Claire spent 6 days in jail before the charges against her were dismissed. If she manages to post the $5,000 bond, she will be prohibited from coming near Sophie. After her release, Claire shared an update on Instagram, mentioning that she'd gotten her hair done and expressing gratitude for being able to rest her head on a pillow again, confident she had done nothing wrong. Despite everything, Claire emphasized that her love for her 90-day fiancé happily ever after star daughter Sophie would never change. "I love my daughter and pray angels protect her," she added. Claire was missing from the Happily Ever After tell-all. 90-Day Fiancé Happily Ever After Season 8 wrapped up its tell-all in Part 4, but one final episode remains, where the couples will address unresolved issues in their shared house. Claire's absence from the tell-all was noticeable, especially since it's common for cast members, friends, and family to appear and provide insight. Despite playing a major role in Sophie and Rob's storyline throughout the season, Claire did not attend the tell-all. It's likely Claire wasn't at the tell-all either because she and Sophie were not on good terms or because she wouldn't have added any value. Viewers would have expected more of the same out of Sophie.